Hello, and welcome back to the Alexander Society podcast. My name is Tim, and hopefully I'll never go missing and turn up dead the next day in a basement. And here is my co-host, Derek, who hopefully will never write a shoddily written kidnapping ransom for his own child that is very clearly in his own handwriting.
I'm just now like really wrapping my head around how long-winded and kind of rambling these introductions are. Also how morbid yours are. They're always just so like
I try and wrap something that came from the episode into it.
yeah, I know, and that's the thing. Is it's always so morbid.
So how are you doing today, brother?
I'm kind of exhausted. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a long week.
I feel that.
It's one of those moods where like just like work is just weird. The vibes, the weather is making the vibes off. It's
So, Derek, why don't you go ahead and open your gift? For the audience at home, we are doing our gift exchange as our drinks and liquor this week.
oh yeah, yeah. Here, I'll go ahead and I'll open the beer first. Okay. Okay, it's a red box. Ooh. Okay, let's see. What is this? India Ale Winter Welcome Chocolate Stout. It's okay, so it's just like some Christmas themed like IPAs, is that?
India, not Indiana. Like, it's not an IPA.
I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, you're right.
No, trust me, I did the same double take. I thought it was an IPA.
Oh, this is exciting. And it comes with the glass. Oh, I feel like such an asshole now. I got you some stuff that I was sure that you'd like.
I picked that Christmas set specifically based on the chocolate stout in there. I thought you'd probably like.
I am excited to try that one, yes. Oh, they're pints. Oh, hell yes. They're okay, so this is Samuel Smith's. There's three different pints in here. We've got an India Ale, chocolate stout, and what is this? A winter ale. It's a product of the UK, established 1758.
It's a neat little brewery. I looked it through all of it.
Yeah, these are cool. These are awesome. Hell yeah, thanks, bud.
No problem, brother.
Okay, can I do a little history thing here? So, I'll send you a picture to post on the Twitter, but the glass has so it's from Yorkshire, so it's from York County, whatever. It's from York or Yorkshire. It's from Yorkshire, which is the city of York, and it has the White Rose of York on it, which is have you ever heard of like the War of the Roses?
I've heard the term, but I've never heard about it in detail.
Okay, so one of the houses that was fighting in the War of the Roses, each of the houses had happened to have like a rose as part of their like family crest. And so that's why it was called the War of the Roses. And the one, oh, I can't remember, was it the Tudors or the Lancashires? I'm so bad at English history. It's the one bit of European history that I'm not super familiar with because it tends to be kind of boring. But the War of the Roses is a genuinely like really interesting period, and it just has one of those. The logo is like is the White Rose of York. It might have just been the House of York, but yeah, it's really cool. This is very thematically appropriate for the podcast. I am enjoying this very much. I'm very excited to try these. So thank you for that.
Why don't you open your bottle next?
Yeah, let's open this guy. Oh, it's got a tag. Barnacles. Oh, I can already. Yeah, it's rum. Oh boy. Oh, I fucking love this bottle so much. Let's see. Barnacles Signature Blend Rum. Dominican. That's exciting. Yeah, this looks like it is gonna be fucking delicious. I am so excited for this. Man, you know how to fucking pick them.
So getting into mine. Fuck you.
What?
Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA.
Is that what I got? Did I grab the wrong one? What am I? Wait, what, did I do that? No, that's not right. Wait,
Did you get the wrong thing?
did I pack the wrong one? No, that's not right. Wait.
That's what I have here in front of me.
Oh, I can't. I can't remember. No, I wouldn't have gotten you that. No.
I can't remember what the name of it is, but that has like a real the juice is in your face. I'm still gonna drink it because I'm not letting it go to waste.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I don't know what.
It was a busy night, brother. You're fine because you bought that at the same time you were coming down here, right?
Yeah, Oh god, damn. Oh, I am such a fucking asshole. No, that's not okay. No, I.
You're more upset about it than I am. I thought it was a gag that you got me the wrong beer, then you got me an IPA, and then either inside was going to be a different thing, or it was going to be a really good IPA, and then you got me a really nice liquor. So yeah, Derek ended up getting me Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA. It's a hazy Imperial IPA, which I've seen a lot of hazy IPAs that actually have looked really good. So maybe it's something to finally not stop knocking IPAs because I've only tried one.
Man, No, I'm gonna make up for that. I don't know how I did that. I guess my brain is just in. I've just been in a. Whatever. I'll make it up. I'll make it
And
up.
then
That's not.
for my liquor, Derek got me Una Familia 100% Blue Agave Tequila. That's a simple looking bottle with a simple looking label, but it's still fucking gorgeous. I don't know how they pulled that off.
Yeah, basically my method for that one was I remember that one a little more distinctly. My method was basically find a bottle that is gorgeous but also like simple, so I know it's not gimmicky.
Well, the thing you can find is if you find 100% agave tequila, that's not going to be gimmicky even if the bottle is really nice because 100% agave has no of the additives or anything like that. It's the better tequilas. So today, everyone, our topic is the JonBenet Ramsey case. Since this is our Christmas/holiday episode, I thought I would cover a case in which Christmas had a significance. So, ergo, JonBenet Ramsey. So what do you know, Derek?
Oh, we talked about this, and I remember distinctly you telling me like the broad strokes of it. I can't recall a single thing about it right now. Once I hear a few details, it'll start to jog my memory. I'm sure of it, but
It usually starts jogging your memory. I was like that a lot of subjects in college and high school. It's like I knew it, but I couldn't recall it. So before we get into everything, let's go ahead and take our beginning of the episode shot. Let me know how you think of that rum.
Prost.
Cheers. So you say you don't remember too much about the JonBenet Ramsey case?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, so JonBenet Ramsey was born on August 6th, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia. She is the youngest of two children, born to Patricia Ramsey and John Bennett Ramsey. John, first name. Bennett is the middle name. JonBenet Ramsey is JonBene with an ellipsis or whatever on top of it, T. One word.
JonBenet.
Yeah, JonBenet.
That's a very pretty name, actually. That's unfortunate.
She had an older brother named Burke, born in 87.
Burke, that's a decent name.
JonBenet Patricia Ramsey.
Okay. You know, for a story about a horrific crime, usually they start out with some like really weird names. This is there's some out of the ordinary names, but they're not bad so far. These are some pretty like decent creative names.
John Ramsey, her father, was a businessman who is the president of Access Graphics, a computer software company. You'll never guess who bought it out.
Was it Microsoft?
No. Lockheed Martin.
Oh no. Oh, that's no good.
Yes.
Yeah, speaking of mass murder.
His first marriage ended in divorce in 78. Then in 91, John moved with Patsy, his second wife. JonBenet's mother was the second,
Hmm.
and they moved to Boulder, where they headquartered Access Graphics.
Okay. All right. So far, pretty standard, pretty normal.
Patsy Ramsey entered JonBenet in various child beauty contests in Boulder.
Yeah, no. No. No.
I think I think children beauty contest. I think any beauty contest that's under 18 is actually kind of gross because I feel like it's objectifying women in a really creepy manner when they're under 18.
Yeah, it's treating a child like a doll and then using that doll for lots of adults to ogle as like an object of beauty. It is.
And the girls all look super creepy that win. Like when they're all dressed up for the pageant, they don't look good. They look creepy. Like they don't look cute. They look creepy.
Yeah, it's one step above like as far as abuse goes, it's like one step above like some of the shit that like the parents of child actors do.
I would argue it's in the same vein. I wouldn't say it's as severe, yes, but it's the same idea.
Yeah.
JonBenet was actually very successful. She won the titles of America's Royal Miss,
Oh, I hate these.
Little Miss Charlevoix. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. I apologize if I did not. Little Miss Colorado, Colorado State All-Star Kids Cover Girl, and National Tiny Miss Beauty.
No, oh God, I hate all of those names. Oh, my skin is crawling. That is so bad. Oh, no normal person could come out of this.
Yeah, it's
I need to know what the psychology is behind this. Like what leads parents to do this to their children.
I don't know if we'll ever know, unfortunately.
Oh,
According to statements given by Patsy, on December 26th, she had realized her daughter was missing after she found a 2.5-page handwritten ransom note on the kitchen staircase at the Ramsey family's Boulder residence.
oh yeah, that's well, yeah. I imagine she was probably pretty high profile by this point, wasn't she?
I don't know that it has that notoriety just from pageants, but also I wasn't alive during this period of time where social media technology hadn't taken off as much, so people may have bought into that local celebrity more.
Yeah, she was at least like a like state level celebrity. It would have been pretty nationally well known, at least for people who give a shit about child beauty pageants, which is take a look at their criminal history.
So from there, the note demanded 118,000 US dollars. You want to take a guess at what that is worth in 2020 money? 2022.
I'm gonna go 550,000 today.
You're way off, brother. In equivalent to 2022 money, it is $220,000, $177.
Oh yeah, I did. I was like way over because that is double. I was way overestimating. Whatever.
The father pointed out to the police that the amount was almost identical to his Christmas bonus the year prior.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think you're already suspecting along the lines of where my theory goes. Like, the personal one I believe is most likely in this case. The person who did the kidnapping, because there was no body found at this point. It was just a ransom note. They have access to information of his payroll. So, like, it has to be someone either he knows within his company, family member who was able to, like, hey, I earned this much. Someone close to the family. It's that stereotype. It's always someone you know.
Yeah. Or was it the mom?
The investigators looked at several theories behind the dollar amount and considered the employees at Access Graphics who may have known about it. They also basically they pondered all of it. They didn't, from what I understand, they didn't draw any conclusions even to this day because there's not a whole. It's an open case. Like no one officially knows who does it. Everyone has their pet theory with a high-profile case like this, but no one actually knows. They also considered the possibility that the ransom note demand was a reference to Psalms 118 and spoke to religious sources to determine possible relevance.
What is Psalms 118?
You want to go ahead and look that up and read it out to our audience at home so we can get reference? Because neither one of us know our Bibles that well.
Okay, here we go. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is. It's long. I'm not going to read it all.
It doesn't sound like it's really directly referenced on the ransom anyway. It was probably more like a reference number-wise rather than an actual textual reference. Another thing about this ransom note that makes it super sus is it seems to be echoing films that have, I'm assuming films that have echo notes. I have literally never watched any of these films, so I don't know. The films Ruthless People, Ransom, Escape from New York, Speed, and Dirty Harry are all suggestions. It's like they be at the ransom note echoes it. And actually, I don't know if it has all of it, but this wiki has at least part of the ransom note that I'm going to read to you. And 2.5 pages is actually very suspect for a ransom note. Most ransom notes are not that long. They're like short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah, this strikes me as somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and is taking this whole situation very personally, if that makes sense.
Yes. The FBI said it was unusual for the ransom note to be that long. They also believe the note was staged. There was no fingerprints except for Patsy Ramsey's, who obviously handled it because she's the one who reported it. And it had an unusual amount of exclamation marks and italicisms. The note and a practice draft were written with a pen and notepad from the Ramsey house.
So they italicized handwriting. I know you can do that, but
You're a pretentious prick if you do that.
yeah, it's. Well, I mean, what?
According to the CBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, that there were indicators that the author of the Ramsey note is Patricia Ramsey.
All right, yeah, that's.
Only her fingerprints were on it. It was used from a pen and paper within the house. I don't know if this wiki has it, but I do know a handwriting expert did look at it and basically say, yeah, that's Patricia Ramsey's handwriting.
Well, you know what? I'm sold. I think it was Pat.
The evidence fell short of definite conclusion. I'm assuming right then and there. Michael Baden, a board-certified forensic pathologist who consulted with both sides on this case, said that he had never seen a note like it in his 60 years of experience and that he did not think it was written by an outside stranger.
No, obviously not. I mean, I haven't written that much after a breakup. Like, that's some emotional investment.
Here's where you're going to love our system, Derek. A federal court ruled it highly unlikely that Patsy wrote the note. Citing 6 certified handwriting experts, the court bemoaned the existence of self-proclaimed experts without credentials trying to enter the case by accusing Patsy without scientific basis. Here is the text of the ransom note. Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully! ! We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We do respect your business, but not the country it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed. If you want to see her 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 will be in $20 bills. Make sure you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money into a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 9 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence a earlier delivery, but the delivery is crossed out, pickup of your daughter. It feels a little unnecessary saying, hey, if I'm kidnapping someone and ransoming them, I wouldn't say here is a definitive timeline. I would say you will be monitored. I will let you know. I will know when you get your money. And then I will come talk. I will arrange a pickup time.
Yeah, you've already like hinted that this reeks of like something that somebody just got off of a movie. So
I mean, it's to today's standards. I don't know about 1996, but this feels like generic as they get ransom note.
yeah, generic, but also like sloppy.
Yes. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you to not provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. Now they're just like puffing up their chest, to be honest.
Yeah, this is, if a girl wasn't actually missing in this situation, this would be like really funny.
It'd be really funny, to be honest. If it wasn't at the cost of someone's life, it'd be funny. If you alert the authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try and deceive us, but be warned, we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back.
Go to the store, buy $5,000 in Amazon gift cards, come straight home, don't talk to each other.
It feels super bog standard. It feels like a Nigerian prince scheme.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. This sounds like the script that somebody like in a scam call center in Calcutta is reading off of.
You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Do not try and grow a brain, John. You're not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John! Exclamation point. Victory! Exclamation point. Then they have SBTC.
Santa Barbara Trade Commission. Yeah, this goes all the way to the top of mid-sized California City Municipal Administration.
So the only people known to be within the Ramsey house the night that, spoiler alert, JonBenet Ramsey died were her immediate family.
Oh man, I was really holding out hope for her.
Patsy and John Ramsey and their son Burke. So those are the only people in the house aside from JonBenet Ramsey, which is kind of confusing considering the father's name is JonBenet Ramsey too. Only it's John first name, Benet middle name instead of JonBenet first name. The ransom note contained specific instructions against contacting law enforcement, but Patsy immediately called the police in the morning at 5:52 a.m.
Which is probably like,
Immediately calling the cops, not like panic talking with your husband. Like, should we call the cops? Should we not? We're under surveillance. Because I could definitely see, like, a couple being concerned, like, oh crap, they will know if we call the cops.
calling the cops at all. At least I think is a not incorrect move. I mean, regardless of what the note says.
I still feel like they probably didn't get up much earlier than that. And immediately call. It feels like they woke up, found the note, and called the cops right away. Like, I would have at least had a little bit of debate on that. I would have talked with my spouse and would have been like, do you think they really have this, that, and the other? Although I live in a much more technologically advanced society, and I would have had security cameras. I also would not have had a child to have been kidnapped. I might have had a dog kidnapped, but
Oh, but here's where you're mistaken. The Santa Barbara Trade Commission is actually has a vault of like ancient Hyperborean technology that they opened with the
they found my alternate timeline's daughter and are ransoming it in this timeline.
yeah, it's like the like BioShock Infinite story. That that confusing fucking story with like you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the Santa Barbara Trade Commission has discovered the lost city of Atlantis and have discovered a treasure trove of advanced technology that they're now using to kidnap the the daughters of upper middle class business owners.
Because, of course, they would. Patsy also called her family and friends. Within 3 minutes, two officers responded to the 911 call. They conducted a precursory search of the house but did not find any signs of forced entry.
They're really good. That's what I'm hearing from this. The kidnappers are really good at this.
Officer Rick French, that sounds like a made up name, but whatever.
It's it's an unfortunate last name, but it is a real last name. I have seen people with the last name of French.
So French went to the basement and came across a door that was secured by a wooden latch. He paused in front of the door, but walked away without opening it. He explained that he was looking for an exit route that could have been used by the kidnapper, but because the door was closed by a wooden latch, he ruled it out. Your brain's already gone there. What was behind the door, Derek?
The girl was behind the door.
To be more specific, her dead body was behind the door.
Yeah, in whatever state she was behind that door. The moment you said locked wooden door in the basement, I immediately knew, oh yeah, that's where you keep a kidnapped girl or her body.
With JonBenet still missing, her father, John, made arrangements to pay the ransom. A forensics team was then dispatched to the home. The team initially believed that the child had been kidnapped, and JonBenet's room was the only room in the house that was cordoned off to prevent contamination. Rookie mistake. You cordon off the entire thing. As soon as I got there, I would have told the parents to get out of the house as a law enforcement officer. You're contaminating any potential evidence because it could have been like you don't know where they entered through the house. You want to check for evidence, assuming the parents aren't not involved. Like,
Which, assuming the parents are not involved, for anybody who's presumably any of these law enforcement officers who have read or know the contents of the letter, kind of stupid, kind of dumb, not gonna lie. I don't know. It might be an unfair there. I can't imagine anybody reading that letter and believing that it wasn't one of the parents.
I agree. As you would assume, there were no precautions within the rest of the house. Meanwhile, friends, victim advocates, and the family's preacher arrived at the home to show support. Visitors picked up and cleaned surfaces in the kitchen, possibly destroying evidence.
Yeah, I know. I know how. I can only imagine how hard it is that your daughter's been kidnapped and being held for ransom. Let me just bleach down your kitchen real quick.
This is why you cordon off an entire building when you check a crime scene. It doesn't matter. This is why you see blocks shut down when like a body or something's discovered, because evidence can be anywhere. You don't just assume the immediate area around the body.
Well, yeah. The killer has to have come from somewhere and gone to somewhere afterwards.
Detective Linda Arndt arrived around 8 a.m. in anticipation of receiving further instructions by the kidnappers. But there was never an attempt to claim the money because the father made arrangements to get the money. Like he got the money, from what we understand. Can you guess how long it took him to find the body? It's not an extraordinary amount of time. I'll put it that way.
3 days.
No. So police arrived at probably 5:55 because she called the police at 5:52. So around there. At 1 p.m., that detective asked the father and a family friend to search the house to see if anything seemed amiss. They searched the basement. That's where they started. John opened the latch door, which Officer French had overlooked, and found his daughter's body.
God. Okay. All right. Let's hear the details.
Well, her mouth was covered with duct tape. She was bound with nylon cord around the hands and neck. Her torso had been covered with a white blanket. Do you know what the father did immediately to the crime scene?
Probably rushed over and immediately started grabbing the body.
He did more than just grab the body.
Started untangling it, untangling the.
No, he picked up his daughter's dead body and carried it upstairs.
Yeah.
Completely destroying any way of creating evidence, figuring out what happened within that room. Obviously, the crime scene was contaminated because he moved the body, resulting in critical forensic evidence being disturbed when the forensics team got down there. John and Patsy Ramsey provided handwriting, blood, and hair samples to the police. They participated in preliminary interviews for more than 2 hours, and the little brother, Burke, was also interviewed within the first couple weeks following his sister's death.
When you say first couple weeks, how I would think that they would interview him immediately.
He was 9. Do you want to take a guess at what the autopsy found?
I'm guessing strangulation is probably my best. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I figured.
The autopsy revealed that JonBenet was killed by strangulation and a skull fracture. Officially, her cause of death was asphyxiation by strangulation associated by cerebral trauma. There was no evidence of conventional rape, although sexual assault could not be ruled out. There was no semen found, but there was evidence of a vaginal injury.
Oh boy, this is going to be one of those episodes. God damn it.
We're not going to have a whole lot past this on the grossness because it's only one death, and this is the autopsy part. Do you need a shot?
Yeah, let's go ahead and shoot. Prost.
Cheers. The pathologist recorded that it appeared her vaginal area had been whipped with a cloth.
Oh man, what the fuck? Oh, this was.
How do you even know what that looks like? Is my question. That doesn't happen often. A garrote was made from the length of nylon cord, and the broken handle of a paintbrush was used as part of that garrote. Part of the bristle ends of the paintbrush were found in a tub containing Patsy's art supplies. The autopsy revealed that vegetable or fruit material which may have been pineapple, was within JonBenet's stomach, so she had eaten it a few hours before her death. Photographs from the homes showed that there was a fruit bowl with pineapple in the kitchen with a spoon in it.
Yeah, well, it is her kitchen.
Neither parent remembered putting the bowl on the table or feeding pineapple to JonBenet. Can you guess whose fingerprints they found on the bowl?
It was the mom's, wasn't it? The older brother?
Yes.
I, I don't think a 10-year-old did this. I'm not going to lie.
The Ramseys have always stated that Burke slept through the entire night until he woke several hours after the police had arrived. So that's their story. In December of 2003, forensic investigators were able to extract a mixed blood sample found on JonBenet's underwear and were able to create a DNA profile. That DNA was an unknown male, and they were able to exclude each of the Ramseys. The DNA was submitted into CODIS, but did not match anyone in CODIS. Do you know what CODIS is?
The criminal DNA database?
Yes, it is short for Combined DNA Index System. So basically, it is a database that has more than 1.6 million DNA profiles. I am sure it's exponentially larger today, because even from when this was written on Wiki. In October of 2016, a forensic analysis with more sensitive techniques revealed that the original DNA contained genetic markers from 2 individuals other than JonBenet. James Coulter, lead investigator with the DA's office, said there were additional traces of DNA material found on the cord and paintbrush that Boulder District Attorney Mary Lacey did not mention. That Boulder District Attorney Mary Lacey did not mention. And that there were 6 separate DNA samples belonging to unknown individuals that were found by the test. So at that point, I am very unconvinced that all 6 of those were involved in the crime. I think it's a case of early into, I don't know how early actually, I don't remember the timeline, but there was a series of murders that were connected together. And it was across the U.S. out of nowhere. And it was like 40 killings. But there was no, other than DNA, there was nothing linking the cases together. This is a historical thing I remember from one of my classes. It came out that they were not connected. The reason why they were not connected is because the DNA that was linking every case together was actually from a factory worker who was supposed to be working on, DNA swabs. They were actually contaminating the DNA swabs on the factory line. So they were connecting all these cases together based on the DNA from a factory worker's contamination. I feel like this is a similar case where, okay, maybe the DNA from someone at the manufacturing of the cord showed up. Probably a couple people, because there are multiple places. Maybe from the shopping place, a couple people picked it up.
Yeah, that is... God, that really gets in the way, doesn't it? Fuck.
It can. Because unless it was sterile prior to being introduced to the environment, you cannot guarantee any DNA picked up from it happened at the point of time that you're talking about. A former FBI profile, Candace DeLong, believes that DNA showing up identically in several different places on multiple different surfaces belongs to the killer. So essentially what they're saying is that the same DNA profile that showed up on a bunch of different surfaces is probably the killer, which I think is the only one that showed up on multiple surfaces. Former Adams County, Colorado District Attorney Bob Grant assisted the Boulder DA's office with the case for many years and also believes the DNA evidence is significant, saying that any resolution of the case would have to explain how the DNA showed up on several places on JonBenet's clothing.
Yeah,
Pathologist Michael Baden said trace amounts of DNA can get on places and clothing from all different non-suspicious means. There is no forensic evidence to show that this is a stranger murder.
yeah. A couple things about that. One is that something going back to like what you said about like a lot of criminal investigation is kind of art. I think a big part of that art is just the ability to recognize certain kinds of patterns that might not be intuitive to a lot of people.
Investigation is a lot of pattern recognition, and I think that's why a lot of investigations get tunnel vision. Is because fundamentally investigations are pattern recognition, but you cannot stick to a pattern you've biasly preconceived, essentially.
Yeah, you gotta be able to identify and think through all the implication of the patterns that you're seeing right in front of you rather than trying to solely rely on like past experience and things like that. Um,
Because basically, the experts, media, and the Ramseys have identified some potential suspects. Initially, law enforcement focused on John and Patsy, but by 97, over 1,600 people were in their persons suspects. Well, they were suspects for the case. The initial investigation, like not cording off the house, loss and contamination of evidence, no experienced and technical staff on the investigation. They shared basically all the evidence with the Ramseys. They didn't interview the parents right away. Lou Smith, a detective who came out of retirement in early 97 to assist with the investigation, in 98 presented his findings to Boulder PD along with other staff members of the DA's office, concluding the evidence pointed away from the Ramseys. They were unable to successfully challenge police department's beliefs that the Ramseys were guilty. The DA sought to take control of the investigation due to the animosity between local law enforcement and the DA and the pressure to obtain a conviction. The Colorado governor interceded and named Michael Caine as a special prosecutor to initiate a grand jury.
so okay, so we have this whole story is just the story of just an entire just a scathing indictment of the Boulder, Colorado legal system.
I would honestly say it's an accurate representation of the American law enforcement system.
This is unforgivable. How grossly incompetent and negligent this every person in this story has been so far.
Two of the lead investigators had opposing views.
Oh, that's always a recipe for success.
Lou and Steve Thomas. Lou, how'd you say his last name was again? Smith. Lou Smith and Steve Thomas both resigned. Smith believed the investigation completely overlooked the intruder hypothesis, and Thomas because the DA's office had interfered with and failed to support the police investigation of the case.
So, was there any evidence of an intruder in there? Like there was all of the
This isn't listing the specific evidence, but for what I'm going to know about the case, nothing suggests anyone ever entered that house other than Ramsey's.
yeah, because all I've heard so far about DNA other than or any evidence other than the Ramseys being there has been the DNA on the body itself, which
I literally explain away that DNA is the abuse theory. Like, it makes total sense if she had been abused because she was in pageants.
and even then, even that's like that's like its own separate thing, but like there's a million and one reasons why there would be DNA on the stuff
And it doesn't specify how much DNA was found. Did they find touch DNA, which can be just transient DNA? Did they find um, blood samples? Did they find hair samples? What did they find?
Yeah, so from what it sounds like to me, they don't have any reason to believe that there was an intruder or a home invader.
Yeah, there's no evidence to support that someone else entered the house.
Yeah, no less because the entire rest of the family was in the house when it happened.
A grand jury was convened on September 15th of 98 to indict the Ramseys. In 99, the grand jury returned a true bill to charge the Ramseys. But it wasn't with the murder.
Oh, I'm
They charged the Ramseys with placing a child at risk in a way that led to their death and obstructing an investigation of murder due to John Ramsey's tampering with the crime scene, picking up the body.
okay. Oh, okay. So I've got some thoughts on that because on the one hand, it could be like conscious tampering, it could be unconscious tampering. Um, but on the other hand, like it's
I feel like it's conscious, personally, because in how many stories of someone finding their dead child's body is their first reaction when law enforcement is already in the building is to pick up the body, even pre like modern I know everything about a crime scene America, quote unquote. Do you hear about someone physically picking up their dead anything's like body? How often do you see someone picking up a dead body?
okay. But my thoughts with this is that that can be. Now, I'm not saying this is what necessarily happened because I am very much leaning towards the parent. At least one of the parents did this. But in regards to the dad picking up the body, I can fully believe that or it could be argued that in the moment that he saw his daughter's body, that he would just people don't react rationally in that situation. He might not have even registered that she was dead in that moment, only that she might be hurt. She might need help. Uh,
I don't think it matters because even if no one reacts well during the scene, he's still acting out of the standard by picking up the body because people stricken with grief, almost no one does consistently no one shows picking up or like I've seen people tamper with the body to the point like checking for a pulse, checking to see if they're alive. Yes, that part is understandable, destroying evidence that way, yes. But that doesn't even seem like that's what happened. He full on picks up the body and carries it upstairs.
okay, yeah, yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and you know, fully 100% admit you definitely know more about this stuff than I do. I just I can't.
This is the first time I've heard of someone picking up a dead body in this kind of scenario.
Yeah, I just can't help but thinking like you can never predict how somebody's going to react to that situation because it is so far outside the bounds.
So the carrying up the stairs is what gets me the most in this. It's not the picking up the body per se, because she's a 6-year-old child. She's tiny. He could be in grief stricken. My daughter, like, cradles in her arms like you see dramatic shit on TV, right? I don't see that translating into carrying the body upstairs.
I can fathom that happening because like in the moment he might just be thinking I need to get my daughter out of this dank dark basement. I now again like this isn't what I actually believe. This is just an argument I can feasibly be seen made that would cat.
The grand jury believed that there was probable cause. However, the district attorney, Alex Hunter, did not prosecute because he did not believe he could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And the quick, fast and loose definition of those is probable cause is more than 50% likelihood, and beyond a reasonable doubt is more like beyond 90%. Is the rough estimation we given like people who are taught about law enforcement.
Yeah, and to be fair, I would not I would not cast a guilty verdict on if they were to go to trial and I was in the jury. With the evidence that you've told me so far, I wouldn't cast a guilty vote.
Yeah, from what we know, no, I would not convict them, but that's because I am a very stickler for did they tell me to this point? Not do I feel, did they prove to this point? I'm like very detached from that point. Like I will vote even if I feel differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that they did it. I don't know how, I don't know the details, but I have no doubt in my mind that they did it. But
It's like me with the Stephen Avery case. I'm 1,000% sure Stephen Avery is not a good person, but I'm not convinced he's the one who killed Teresa Halbach.
yeah, but even with this, like I'm even convinced that like they probably did it. I have no reason to believe that they didn't, but there's not enough evidence to convict them on it. That from my perspective.
The next DA, Mary Lacey, took over the investigation in December of '02, 8 years to the day of JonBenet's death. She took over the case. In April of '03, she agreed with a federal judge who sat on a 2002 libel case that this that is weird worded, really weird. She agreed with a federal judge who sat on a 2002 libel case that evidence in the suit is more consistent with a theory that an intruder murdered JonBenet than it is with a theory that Miss Ramsey did, which I think is horseshit.
Okay, I'd like to know more details about that libel case. That sounds okay. Yeah, that's something else that I
As a result of new DNA sampling and testing techniques in July 9th of '08, the Ramsey family members were excluded as suspects in the case. Again, going based on the DNA that was on the clothing, Boulder Police Chief Mark Beckner on February 2nd of '09 announced that Stan Garnett, the new DA, was turning the case over to his agency and his team would resume investigating it. Garnett found that the statute of limitations for the crime identified in '99 grand jury true bill had expired and did not try and renew the case against the Ramseys. Well, no, it's in 2010. The case was reopened. New interviews were done. DNA was retested using the latest techniques, but nothing come of it. It was a nothing burger. In 2016, it was reported that JonBenet's death continues to be an active homicide case, per the police chief, Greg Tesla. In 2015, Beckner disagreed with exonerating the Aunt Ramsey, stating exonerating anyone based on a small piece of evidence that has not yet been proved to be connected to the crime is absurd. He also stated that the unknown DNA from JonBenet's clothing hasn't got to be the focus of the investigation at this point in time, which I disagree with, and that until one can prove otherwise, the suspect is the donor of that DNA. In 2006, wow, did I cross-eyed for a second? In 2016, Gordon Combs, a former investigator for Boulder DA's office, questioned total absolution of the Ramseys, stating, "We all shed DNA all the time within our skin cells. It can be deposited anywhere at any time for various reasons. Reasons that are benign to clear somebody just on the premise of touch DNA, especially when you have a situation where the crime scene wasn't secure at the beginning. Really a stretch."
yeah, I can agree with that.
Stephen E. Pitt, a forensic psychiatrist, hired by Boulder authorities, said Lacey's exoneration of the Ramseys is a big slap in the face to Chief Beckner and the core group of detectives who've been working on the case for years.
Uh, God, our legal system, huh?
Gotta hand it to them. They sure put the P in pathetic. So there are two major overarching theories. The first one is the family member theory. The police are initially concentrated almost exclusively on the parents.
Which, yeah, me too.
According to Greg McCrae, a retired profiler with the FBI, statistically, it is a 12-to-1 probability that it is a family member or a caregiver. They saw no evidence of a forced entry, but they did see evidence of staging the scene, such as the ransom note. They did not find the Ramseys cooperative in helping them solve the death of their daughter. That's another thing that puts me in the a family member did it case is like they have worked against the investigation this entire time.
Yeah, so I don't think you went into too many details about like what exactly like the parents were up to during the whole investigation.
Um, Other than the initial interview, they have not worked with the law enforcement at all. Like they have fought them tooth and nail at every turn.
So just refuse to talk to them, refuse to provide assistance for. Okay. Um,
According, the Ramseys had said their reluctance was due to their fear there would not be a full investigation for intruders, and that they would be hastily selected as key suspects in the case. Hey, we didn't work with you because we feared you would pin it on us anyway.
so I don't know. I don't like have faith in the. Uh, yeah, the criminal justice system generally, but like specifically the process for investigating a crime. I don't really have faith in that whole process.
Because we argue that we do it in an unbiased manner, but the simple fact is humans are inherently biased, and all of our thought processes are going to be biased.
Yeah, and nobody is more biased than a cop because they're conditioned and trained specifically to do their job based on biases. It's an intrinsic part of their training that is they are literally like psycho indoctrinated into behaving. Um, but what the fuck was I saying? God damn it. Yeah, just move on.
You just want to move on to the next part? One theory is Patsy struck JonBenet in a fit of rage after a bedwetting episode and strangled her to cover up what had happened. After mistakenly thinking she was already dead,
Wait, wait, wait. Keep going, keep going.
After mistakenly thinking she was already dead. However, Patsy did not have a history. However, Patsy did not have a known history of uncontrolled anger. JonBenet's brother, Burke Ramsey, later said, "We didn't get spanked. Nothing of the sort. Nothing close. Nothing near laying a finger on us, let alone killing your child." Theoretically, the strangling could have been a red herring. The brother, who was 9 at the time, was interviewed 3 times. During the first 2 interviews, there were no concerns raised about him. A review by a child psychologist stated that he appeared the Ramseys had a healthy, caring family relationship. I love how this says the first 2 interviews raised nothing, but doesn't go on to the third. In 98, Boulder PD Chief Beckner said during an interview that Burke Ramsey was not involved in the killing of his sister. 99, the DA reiterated that Burke was not a suspect. The investigators never even considered him a suspect. As of April 27, 1997, the Ramseys offered holy shit. As of April 27, 1997, the Ramseys offered a $100,000 reward 3 days later, more than 4 months after the body was found, they submitted for the first time to separate formal interviews to the Justice Center.
Well, it took them long enough.
Expanding upon the earlier grand jury, they were indicted of 2 counts of child abuse, which it's hard to argue one way or the other, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you could make arguments both, but like, it feels like a pointless argument to make.
Yeah, with the information that you've given me, it doesn't like outside of the pageant stuff. It doesn't sound like they were particularly like. I mean, I don't know what was going on like emotionally or physically with their relationship with their children, but from the sounds of like what the older brother said, and it doesn't sound like abuse to me. It doesn't sound like they were particularly abusive. I mean, that doesn't like exclude the possibility of it happening. I mean, besides the obvious abuse, just in
They're basically saying, "Hey, you let this happen to a child, child abuse."
okay, well, yeah, that doesn't make any fucking sense. What are they gonna start convicting every parent of a child who's been murdered? That's fucking stupid. Okay, now that actually is the most suspicious thing you've said so far, just in regards to like the law enforcement side of it.
Um, so where was I? Oh wow. So the grand jury's vote was not revealed until October 25th, 2013. So no one knew that they were indicted until October 25th, 2013. Probably when it expired. So a broadcast show done by CBS called The Case of JonBenet Ramsey aired September 18th and 19th, 2016, where a group of experts evaluated the case. The group theorized that Burke hit his sister in the back of the head after she stole a piece of pineapple from his bowl, perhaps not intending to kill her. They suggested that the ransom letter was an attempt to cover up the circumstances of JonBenet's death. On behalf of Burke Ramsey, his counsel filed defamation suits.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This is I went and scrolled through the wiki, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of what I've remember hearing about this. So this next part is going to be a bunch of conjecture. Take it with a grain of salt. I was told that Burke had a very long history of violence at that age, like for a 9-year-old. Like he acted out, he got violent, he like got physical at the time. So a lot of people's theory, including mine until I found out just now, like it doesn't seem like it has a whole lot of weight because you know how you get stuff gets passed around in the true crime community and you don't know what's concrete and what's not until you actually research it, because which most people don't. They just hear a lot about true crime. Was it sounded like Burke was the gold. This was the theory I was working under. Burke was the firstborn, the spoiled, like, hey, I could do nothing wrong child, and had an attitude, lashed out. You know, the stereotypical golden goose child kind of shit, right? And since he was 9, he lashed out at JonBenet for some reason at the time of her death, and unintentionally killed her because he got like hit her with something, and the parents covered it up. That's what I've been working under. My theory always hinged under like essentially a manslaughter with the parents covering it up, because I don't think if Burke did it that he ever intended to kill her at that age. It's 9 years old. Even if he thought he wanted her dead, I don't think he understood the ramifications of wanting her dead at that point either. Plus, 9-year-old cannot create a garrote.
Yeah, God, that is such a weird.
The thing is that struggles me with this case is you don't often see blunt force trauma to the head as the cranial fracture along with a full-on garrote for a asphyxiation. Wow. Asphyxiation as a means of death. It just, like, for me in my head, they're almost two different forms of murder. Yes, you could have a huge blunt force trauma and try to like, oh, it did not kill them, I'm going to finish them off with asphyxiation. But that's almost entirely going to be with something last minute. It's not going to be full on garrote. Garrote takes time to set up.
I'm just still stuck on the older brother.
Do you think it's not that feasible? What?
Well, I can understand full well that it's like physically possible for a nine or 10 year old to do that to a 6 year old. It just like logically speaking, I'm sure it's possible, but just practically, I can't imagine a child like what kind of strike.
This is the scenario that runs through my head when I think of this scenario. Is if Burke is the one who did it, he hit her with something.
Yeah, but
I don't think anything else beyond that is Burke. I think that in the process of covering it up, the parents either accidentally finished her off or she naturally died because she didn't get enough oxygen as they were staging an asphyxiation.
my okay, so this is what I'm thinking of right now is did they ever find what hit her head? And like an object. Okay, then
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing that until I see like an actual like yeah.
Something that was used to brain her.
Other than that, like I have to unless you show me like something that's big enough to do that, that's heavy enough and blunt enough to do that kind of damage, but can still be wielded by a 10-year-old. I I'm inclined to still believe that it was just the parents doing it, the parents who did it. I don't believe that Burke would have been involved, unless I see evidence that of the actual object that was used to do it. I can fully believe that it could feasibly have happened, but not without the evidence of it happening.
Understandable. And I was going based on misconception, obviously, as I find out going through this wiki. Because this is the base brass tacks that is generalized information. A lot of people say wiki's not really a reliable source, but a lot of shit's locked down to the point where you can't really add a lot of stuff, and a lot of times now you actually have to know your shit in order to do any editing.
Yeah, wiki is perfectly reliable as long as the sources that are being used in the wiki are reliable.
Agreed. So the next theory is the intruder theory, which sounds pretty self-explanatory. This is mostly due to an unidentified an unidentified boot mark left in the basement where JonBenet's body was found. One of the early persons of interest was the neighbor, Bill McReynolds, who played Santa Claus. Chris Wolf, a local reporter whose then girlfriend reported him as a suspect. A family housekeeper, Linda Hoffman Pugh. A man named Michael Helgoth, who died of an apparent suicide shortly after JonBenet's death. That's the most suspicious one. Hundreds of DNA tests were performed to match the DNA recovered during her autopsy. An 2003 defamation lawsuit related to the case. So the local reporter, Chris Wolf, sued the Ramsey family because he was a suspect. The judge in the case, Julius E. Carnes, there's virtually no evidence to support Wolf's theory that the Ramseys murdered their child, but abundant evidence to support the belief that the intruder entered the home at some point during December 25th, 1996, and killed their daughter.
I just don't believe that. There's not enough evidence to suggest that somebody broke in.
Especially with how, like, unsecure that crime scene is.
Yeah, there just was not enough. Where are these people getting this from? Like, are they reading the same stuff that we are?
There's a lot more drama on the investigation, but, like, it doesn't really... on the night JonBenet was killed, 2 windows were left open to allow electrical cords out for Christmas lights, and 1 unlocked door.
Okay, so this is new information.
Critics have questioned this theory because there was an intact cobweb in front of one of these windows, which was a basement window. The steel grate that covered the window also had undisturbed cobwebs, and the foliage around the grate was undisturbed. There were also cobwebs in the tracks of various windows and dust and debris in some seals. Essentially, they hadn't been dusting and cleaning their window seals, and even the ones that were left unlocked and open showed undisturbed, like they ain't cleaned here or they ain't nothing come through here in a while.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever climbed through a windowsill. You make a lot of contact with the windowsill as you go through.
It was determined that there were more than 100 burglaries within the Ramseys neighborhood in the months before JonBenet's murder.
Golly, where do they live? What the fuck? What kind of?
There were 38 registered sex offenders living within a 2-mile radius of the Ramseys' home.
This man worked in. I can only imagine what like his yearly income was. His bonus was 118,000. What kind of? Why were they living in a neighborhood like this? That's not somewhere you live when you make that kind of money. What the? What? That that's insane. Over 100 burglaries and what would you say 38 registered sex offenders
38, yes, within 2 miles.
within 2 months. That's not a neighborhood you live in when you get a holiday bonus of 118,000. What? Okay, now that I'm retracting my earlier statement. That's the most suspicious part of this whole story.
That is. So, the last little bit here is the last little, like, development within this case that we're going to talk about before closing out is we had a false confession.
Really?
Yes. Alexis Val Reich, then known as John Mark Kerr, was arrested in Bangkok, Thailand on August 15th, 2006, following a false confession to JonBenet Ramsey. Reich, a 41-year-old school teacher, claimed to have been drugged, sexually assaulted, and accidentally killed JonBenet.
That is so random.
According to CNN, authorities also said they did not find any evidence linking Reich to the crime scene. In his confession, Reich didn't provide anything that would prove he was the killer, only public information. So the stuff that they have obviously left out of public information, like, because they obviously always leave stuff out to, like, someone sticks their foot in the mouth. Oh, this happened. We didn't publicize that, and you know about that. You know something about the case. He claimed that JonBenet was drugged, further cast doubt on the confession because during the autopsy there was no drugs found in her body, and Reich's DNA did not match the DNA found on JonBenet's body. In October of 2006, Reich sent an email to Bill Hammonds of Bill's List seeking a literary agent to help publish a manuscript that some might find controversial. Reich later sent emails under numerous pen names, including Daxis the Conqueror, Dirk Pims, and Alexis. Reich later came out as transgender and changed her legal name from John Mark Kerr to Alexis Valoran Reich, or Delta Alexis Reich, according to a Washington State driver's license.
Okay, this is just some random person.
Samantha Spiegel, who got a restraining order against Reich, alleged Reich only intended to go through gender reassignment surgery to get closer to young girls in a child sex cult called the Immaculates.
So I don't believe that part. That is made up.
Considering it's got no link, on the sex cult? I would imagine. I'm going to look up if anything comes up. Yeah, I'm not finding hardly anything on them. So, what's your theory, Derek, on this case?
Not sure on anything, to be honest, but my most likely that I'd find believable is parents did it.
I'm inclined to believe that. I at the very least think the parents did some covering up. Has always been my belief, and I believe the ransom letter has always been written by Patsy. Whether or not they were involved, the ransom letter was done by Patsy.
Yeah. You know, something that when you were reading out the ransom letter, something that I couldn't help but thinking of when you were reading it out was how much it reminded me of like old people typing stuff out on Facebook.
Yes, yes.
That is exactly how they like write on Facebook.
To sum up, there's been a litany of defamation cases filed over this.
Oh, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
I'm not going to get into the weeds on these because, like, who cares about the defamation cases? But yes, there has been a number of defamation cases. So, anything to say before we go, Derek?
Um, just that whatever the truth is, I hope the whoever it is that did this crime to this poor little girl, I sure hope there's a hell because this is not.
As much as I'm not super religious and I really don't like to think about religion, yeah, I hope there's a special place for them in the future. So, Derek, where can they find you on social media?
They could find me on Twitter at Visigoth. The first I is a one, the O is a zero. They can find me on Blue Sky at Visigoth. The first I is just a regular I, and the O is a zero. I'm not super active on Blue Sky, but you know I'll do my best. Tim, where can they find all of the podcast stuff?
They can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tim, aka Otis, and they can find the podcast. They can find the podcast at the Alexander Society Pod on Facebook and Instagram, at Twitter and Blue Sky at Alex Society Pod. TikTok, they can find us at Alexander Society. If they've enjoyed what they listen to, they can give us a rate and review on streaming platform of their choice. And we will see you guys next year when we come back from our little holiday hiatus, partway through the month of June for our opposite day episode. So we hope you have a happy new year and a great holiday.
Bye.